October 31, 2012, in Nanyuki, Kenya. A young mother struggling to support her baby walks into the Lions Court Hotel. This hotel was frequented by British soldiers training on a base nearby. That night, witnesses say she was seen laughing, drinking, and eventually leaving with a British soldier. 2 months later, hotel staff made a gruesome discovery. A body of a woman was dumped inside a septic tank behind the hotel. Welcome to True Crime by Chencha. My name is Chencha Man. Today we have a story of Agnes Wanjiru. Kenya, 2012. In the town of Nanyuki, a place where the Kenyan highlands meet the presence of a British military training base, a tragedy unfolded that would expose deep cracks in justice across borders. Her name was Agnes Wanjiru. She was 21 years old, a young mother, a hairdresser, and full of dreams. One night, she walked into the Lions Court Hotel with friends and never came out alive. Agnes was last seen alive on the 31st of March 2012. Witnesses remember her in the company of British soldiers. 2 months later, her body was discovered in a septic tank on the hotel grounds. A post-mortem revealed stab wounds to her chest and abdomen. She had been beaten. And one magistrate later suggested she may still have been alive when her body was thrown away. Agnes Wanjiru's family has since been featured on Africa News, a Pan-African multilingual news network located in Lyon, France, and previously headquartered in Pointe-Noire, Republic of the Congo.
A Kenyan court has issued a warrant of arrest to a former British soldier linked to the death of a local woman 13 years ago near the British Army training ground. The courts also instructed that the suspect's name could not be published without giving a reason for those rare instructions. Prosecutors stated in a press release that an extradition request will now be initiated. The body of 21-year-old Agnes Wanjiru was found in a septic tank in April 2012 in Nanyuki, north of Mount Kenya, weeks after witnesses said she was seen leaving a bar with British soldiers. Wanjiru's daughter, who was 5 months old when her mother disappeared and is now 13, has remained in the care of her grandmother and aunt. In April, UK Defence Secretary John Healey had met with Wanjiru's relatives and vowed to help the family secure the justice they deserve. The United Kingdom has approximately 200 military personnel permanently stationed in Kenya. Most of them currently are training more than 1,000 Kenyan soldiers a year before their deployment to neighboring Somalia to combat Al-Qaeda's longtime East Africa affiliate, Al-Shabaab. Kenyans have in the past raised concerns about the way British forces treat local residents and the environment in their training ground.
13 years after her disappearance, Agnes Wanjiru's family still waits for answers, for justice, for closure. The law has parted ways, promises have been made. Now the question is whether legal frameworks, political will, and international cooperation will allow this case to cross borders, not just in geography, but in accountability. Because justice delayed is hope deferred, but justice done would mean Agnes is not forgotten. Here are the facts of the case. Agnes Wanjiru, age 21, went missing in Nanyuki, Kenya, in March 2012 after being seen with British soldiers at a hotel near the British Army Training Unit Kenya, Batok. Her body was found months later in a septic tank. A Kenyan inquest in 2019 wrote she was unlawfully killed and linked one or more British soldiers. Investigative journalism in 2021 identified a suspect among former soldiers, Soldier X, an alleged confession and witness testimony. In September 2025, the Kenyan High Court issued an arrest warrant for a British national on probable cause of murder, with the Kenyan DPP seeking extradition from the UK legal and jurisdictional context. Under Kenyan law, Commonwealth Extradition Act Cap 77, UK-Kenya extradition, United Kingdom, order, there is a treaty framework for extradition between Kenya and the UK. Under UK law, Extradition Act 2003, the UK has procedures to consider and grant extradition requests, subject to legal checks, evidence, fair trial, human rights, etc. Military or British soldiers overseas are not automatically shielded. There are precedents and legal mechanisms under international law, UK statutes, and human rights law which may require accountability. Reactions: Kenyan authorities are pushing for extradition and prosecution. UK government has pledged cooperation and expressed regret, meeting the family, but also faces public criticism over pace and transparency. Other challenges with the case: Kenya's law, under the extradition, Commonwealth countries, Act, Kenya can request individuals in UK if the criteria are met. The DPP plays a central role. UK's law, Extradition Act 2003, how extradition requests work, how courts and the Secretary of State are involved, rights of the accused, need for fair trial, assurances. Military/jurisdiction aspect, Visiting Forces Act 1952 mainly deals with UK law and service courts for UK visiting forces in the UK, but when offences happen overseas, different rules apply. Also, human rights laws, Human Rights Act, ECHR, may impose obligations on the UK even for actions overseas in certain conditions. Human rights/treaty obligations, safeguards against torture, right to life, right to a fair trial. Also, the UK Supreme Court case Smith and others v. Mott confirming that service members overseas may still fall under human rights protections. According to court evidence, in 2018, former members of Robert James Parker's regiment's private Facebook group exchanged messages that included a picture outside the Lions Court Hotel in Nanyuki, Kenya, with the caption, "If you know, you know." The same post allegedly also included the words septic tank. The court heard that Parkes responded to that post with a smiling face emoji. In the same group exchange, when asked, "Do you get choked up?" he allegedly replied, "Come to think of it, I have had a sore throat today." This incident is part of public record, as evidence in court proceedings. The case is stuck because Kenya cannot try Parkes until the UK completes a slow, contested extradition process. The process involves legal challenges, diplomatic caution, and procedural safeguards, all of which are significantly delaying justice. Similar cases to Agnes Wanjiru in Kenya. After some digging, I found a case of Monica Injeri. Monica Injeri was a Kenyan woman and mother of two, who was murdered by a US sailor, Frank Sundstrom, in Mombasa. The killing involved a physical attack and Sundstrom confessed. But, instead of receiving a sentence corresponding to murder, the charge was reduced to manslaughter. Frank Sundstrom was fined a small amount of 500 Kenyan shillings and given a 2-year good behavior bond. But investigation capability has improved, technology has advanced, and the court system has learned some lessons since 1980. Unfortunately, I could not find any verified photographs of either Monica Injeri or Frank Sundstrom, the US Marine convicted of her manslaughter. Enough about me. Here is Kovia and PJ doing a mini deep dive in this case.
Thank you, Chencher. It's January 2026, and we are looking at a moment that, well, honestly, many people thought would just never come.
Not at all. After nearly 14 years of what seemed like total impunity, it's a major shift.
That wall of silence around the British military in Kenya is finally cracking. We've been combing through a stack of sources, Sky News, Al Jazeera, internal reviews, and they paint a pretty damning picture. You really do.
For so long, the murder of Agnes Wanjiru was treated almost like a diplomatic problem, an inconvenience.
And now we're seeing the legal system finally catching up.
Finally.
But before we get into the whole court drama, we really need to ground this. We have to talk about Agnes.
Yes, because it's so easy to lose sight of the person. She wasn't just a headline. She was a 21-year-old woman.
A hairdresser in Nanyuki, just trying to survive.
And surviving is the right word. We're talking about earning less than £1 a day, and she was a new mother. She had a 5-month-old daughter at home.
So that night, March 33rd, 2012, at the Lions Court Hotel. This wasn't just
a party for her. She was likely there because British soldiers were known to spend money. It was a matter of survival.
And that night just turns into an absolute horror story. She's seen with soldiers, then she vanishes.
And she stays missing for 2 months, 2 agonizing months for her family.
They finally found her. I mean, the details are just so undignified. She was in a septic tank at the hotel, was stabbed once.
It's horrific, and this is where you see the first major failure. How does a case like this go cold so quickly?
You'd have to wonder.
Well, it was this structural clash. You had Kenyan law on one side, and on the other, the British military wanting to handle its own business. That friction, it basically created a safe harbor for the accused.
And all the while, Agnes's family is just living this nightmare. Her sister Rose and her niece Esther, they were just shouting into the void.
They used the word stonewalled, just ignored by everyone.
The Kenyan police, the British Army, and they're raising Agnes's daughter, who's a teenager now, with absolutely no answers.
And while the family was being ignored, some of the soldiers were apparently treating it all like some kind of sick joke. This is the part of the reporting that is just, it's deeply disturbing. The open secret.
I was reading about the Facebook posts. Soldiers sharing memes about septic tanks, using ghost emojis.
It implies a whole group of people knew something, maybe everything, and instead of
reporting it, they were laughing about it. It points to a complete dehumanization of her.
And there were reports, credible reports, of a soldier crying outside the hotel that night, confessing to his colleagues saying, "I've killed her."
And yet, nothing. Even after a 2019 Kenyan inquest concluded she was unlawfully killed by British soldiers, that silence just held firm.
It did. Until last year, when the British Army's own internal review finally admitted they failed to act on those early reports, a decade too late.
But then, the silence broke. September 2025. A Kenyan High Court judge, Alexander Muteti, makes a huge move.
This is the pivot point. He didn't just write another report. He issued an arrest warrant for a
UK citizen. That changed everything. It took it out of the realm of diplomatic talks and put it squarely into criminal process.
Exactly. And because of that warrant, the National Crime Agency in the UK finally acted. In November 2025, they arrested a man named Robert James
Purkis, 38-year-old former combat medic. He's just been living his life in the UK this whole time for all these years.
And this arrest sets a massive precedent. I mean, if he's extradited, he would be the first former British soldier ever sent abroad to face trial for murdering a civilian.
He's not going quietly, though, is he?
No, he's fighting extradition in the UK courts, vehemently denying the charges. But here's the detail that must feel like such a slap in the face for the family.
His legal defense. It's being funded by
the UK Ministry of Defence.
Wow.
It's a bitter irony, isn't it? On one hand, the UK government is expressing deep regret to Agnes's family. On the other, they're cutting the check for the accused legal team.
You can absolutely see why the family feels gaslit. It looks like the institution is still
protecting its own, even while claiming it wants justice. So yes, the arrest is a significant moment, but the legal battle is really just beginning.
It really makes you think about the true cost of justice delayed. Agnes's daughter has grown up her whole life without a mother, while the man accused of her murder lived freely.
And that's the core of it. This case is finally asking that hard question. Is the era of perceived impunity for troops serving abroad actually over? The courts are about to give us an answer.
We'll be watching very closely. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Back to you, Ginger. Take care.
Shout out to Kenya. Kenya is an East African country on the equator, bordering 5 nations and the Indian Ocean. It has a population of about 55 million and 12.4 billion in GDP, with Nairobi as its capital and economic center. Kenya's economy is one of East Africa's strongest, powered by agriculture, especially tea, coffee, and horticulture, tourism, and a fast-growing technology sector, often called the Silicon Savannah. As a regional transport and financial hub, Kenya plays a major role in East Africa's trade and economic development. We hope Agnes Wanjiru case will be solved soon. Please subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell for any development for this and other cases. Peace.